Intrusive thoughts are those thoughts that you don't want to pop up in your mind, or sometimes you don't expect, but sometimes you agree with them. Intrusive thoughts can include the thoughts that come up when you're stressing out about something's going wrong, someone has done you harm, and you want to get revenge on them. And then you feel like you want to get revenge on the entire world, and it's all exacerbated by the social stimuli in our environment. That's why we're getting them more and more now. And as a person with autism who has had to deal with some mental struggles, I am seeing more mental struggles appear on social media platforms, manifesting in people's behavior because of their consumption of social media. Because now you can readily available watch the story of your favorite protagonist or anti-hero go on his quest to destroy the world in the name of a good cause. And this causes us to confuse what is really good for the real world with what's good for the fictional world that they are in. Lots of people are having autistic realizations. This is what I call when you watch a show and you see the perspective of the protagonist, say Walter White, an anti-hero. He's clearly more on the studious side. He's not a very hard man at the beginning, but then you see him eventually turned into one of the most badass criminals ever on TV. And you relate to that. I relate to him because I achieved similar level grades to him at some point in my life. Super smart, had a lot of prospects, and then it all goes wrong for me because of the way society treats me. In the same way that some autistic people are treated by the bullies in school just because they are different, so therefore they are outcasted. Walter White felt like an outcast. He had a realization that he could become a drug lord. Therefore, I somewhat relate to his dark desires to dominate in a criminal underworld activity. There are other instances of these fictional character archetypes, like Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan, whose home was so badly trampled by the Titans that he wanted to unleash the revenge on the entities causing this mass murder problem from the Titans, and how it made him want to destroy the world. I get those thoughts too. Sometimes I want to destroy the world because something's not going my way. We all feel these intrusive thoughts sometimes because they are exacerbated by the fictional characters that we watch, relate and look up to. Though of course we will never implement their methods of solving their problems in our own lives because they live in fictional worlds. Nevertheless, the thoughts linger in our minds. Maybe we all have an inner psychopath within us. Tell me, if you are a person with autism and you had a bully, did you badly want to get revenge on him? I'm sure you did. These thoughts are intrusive thoughts, the ones where you want to act out and get revenge on whoever did you wrong. But in real life, the consequences of acting out on those intrusive thoughts can land you in prison. Therefore, we don't do them. So how can we release the feelings of having intrusive thoughts? We can do that via emotionally outletting our anger, fear, despair, whatever we feel inside, by crying it out, raging it on our beds, being like, I hate this moment. I hate my bully for what he did to me. And then you will overcome it like you would overcome a trauma response. This is what happens when people overcome trauma and they're crying it out. They're releasing the trauma by a physical activity, by shaking their bodies or crying or something that releases it. And then the intrusive thoughts linger no more, or to a less extent. As a person with autism, I have struggled with social difficulties. I've had intrusive thoughts where I wanted to get revenge against my bullies. But eventually I didn't encounter problems with judgment or bullying from other people because I overcame my social difficulties. Over the 18 years since I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, I've continually improved my social skills to the point where people cannot tell that I have Asperger's syndrome anymore from first impressions. Therefore, I am now launching the pre-sale of my one-to-one coaching package where I help people with autism or think they have autism to overcome their social difficulties. If you want to learn more, link is in the description. So the next time you have intrusive thoughts, just remember, it's a fleeting afterthought about what you would have done to your bully if you went completely berserk. But in the real world, you could go to jail for violent consequences, so you don't want to do that. Instead, release the traumatic feelings you feel by crying, talking it out passionately, or getting angry and just hitting a wall or your bed or something just to release that anger. And afterwards, you'll feel like you overcame the trauma flawlessly. I really urge you to try that out. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you learnt a bit about overcoming your intrusive thoughts. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.